I mean, Robert Mueller is as noble, and I use that word carefully, as noble a public servant as you will find. And the assaults upon his character, upon his practices, upon his investigation, just betray our fundamental principles.
In the email that you sent your colleagues at Fox News back in March when you told them you weren't renewing your contract, you said, and I quote, "Fox News is assaulting our constitutional order and the rule of law while fostering corrosive and unjustified paranoia among viewers." How much damage do you believe they've done to this country and the institutions that uphold the law?
Well, I think they're doing a great deal of damage still. We won't know how bad for years to come when we see the ultimate results. But Anderson, for years, I was glad to be associated with Fox. It was a legitimate conservative and libertarian outlet, and a necessary one. But with the rise of Donald Trump, Fox did become a destructive propaganda machine. And I don't do propaganda for anyone. And frankly, you know, as a former military officer, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And I saw, in my view, Fox, particularly the primetime hosts, attacking our constitutional order, the rule of law, the Justice Department, the FBI, Robert Mueller, and oh, by the way, the intelligence agencies. And they're doing it for ratings and profit. And they're doing it knowingly, in my view, doing a grave disservice to our country.
Do you think, you know, some of the hosts who, in prime time, do you think they believe the stuff they're saying about the deep state, what they're saying about the Department of Justice, about the FBI?
Well, I suspect Sean Hannity really believes it. The others are smarter. They know what they're doing. It's bewildering to me. I mean, I wanted to just cry out and say, how can you do this? How can you lie to our country? How can you knowingly attack our Constitution, the bedrock of our system of government, the bedrock of our country? And when you go after the Constitution, you'd best beware, because you are doing phenomenal, indeed immeasurable damage.
Do you think we're heading to a constitutional crisis?
I think we're in a constitutional crisis right now. And it will end up either, barring unforeseen circumstances, either with impeachment or before the Supreme Court, or both. But when you have a president who believes he is above the law, who does not understand our system of government, does not respect our system of government, and willingly subverts our system of government, you've got a constitutional crisis. I mean, Anderson, when the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence wrote that all men are created equal, they knew that we're not all born with the same good looks or the same intelligence or even the same privileges, the same strength and talents. They were sons of the Enlightenment. They meant we are all equal before the law. No man is above it. No man falls below it. Our president seems to genuinely believe that he is above the law. And this is a situation we haven't been faced with before with this administration. Even Senator Joseph McCarthy in his witch hunt days never directly attacked the Constitution. This is utterly unprecedented.
You've referred to it as sort of a cult of Trump.
Yeah, I think a lot of Trump supporters are so embarrassed by how it's all turned out that they just cling to him. They won't let any facts penetrate their reality. I've been startled by relatively well-educated people that I know, and some military veterans, who still insist that Trump can do no wrong, that he's some sort of messiah. And I'm afraid I part company with their views.
You actually trained in Russian studies, the Russian language. You have firsthand experience with how Russian intelligence operates. Do you believe that Vladimir Putin has some kind of grip on President Trump?
I am convinced that Vladimir Putin has a grip on President Trump. And Anderson, when I first learned of the Steele dossier, it just rang true to me, because that's how the Russians do things. And before he became a candidate or president, Donald Trump was the perfect target for Russian intelligence. Here's someone who has no self-control, a sense of sexual entitlement, and intermittent financial crises. I mean, that's made to order for seduction by Russian intelligence. And look, I may be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Putin doesn't have a grip on him. But the dossier rings true. I think in the future, we're going to look back on the much maligned Christopher Steele, who took that dossier to the FBI, as something of a hero. And again, I hope I am wrong, but when you look at Trump's behavior patterns, his unwillingness ever to criticize Vladimir Putin, his slow-rolling sanctions, his unwillingness to create problems with Russia, even though as he attacks NATO, disrupts relations with the EU, how can you not draw the conclusions that Donald Trump, the President of the United States, is frightened of Vladimir Putin and his grip?
So for you, the Mueller investigation is critical. It moving forward, it being allowed time to complete.
Without exaggeration, the Mueller investigation is the most important of my lifetime. And I am 66 years old. I lived through Watergate. This is, again, Anderson, it's about a fundamental assault on the Constitution by the President of the United States and his paladins. It cannot get graver short of a world war.
Let's discuss this now with CNN senior media correspondent Brian Stelter. Brian, you heard him say that Fox is doing a great deal of damage to viewers, that it's turned into a propaganda machine. Is this different under a Trump presidency than before, as Peter certainly feels it is?
He certainly does. You know, many other people who watch Fox and see how the Mueller probe is being attacked every day by hosts like Sean Hannity, they feel the way Colonel Peters does. What's extraordinary is that he's actually an insider. He was someone who was there at Fox for many years, and he's not some liberal commentator. This is a staunch conservative analyst who worked at Fox for years. He actually got in hot water in the past for being so harshly critical of President Obama, but he was also a critic of Trump, and he felt that he didn't fit in anymore at Fox. He felt he had to leave, so he left in March with a blistering letter. Now he's using even stronger language to describe Fox and saying that it's hurting the country. I think that's remarkable because, you know, you have some other people inside Fox, inside the parent company, some of the folks that make TV shows for Fox that have concerns about Fox News. But here's a guy who actually sat next to Sean Hannity, sat next to the other hosts, and he's saying that Fox is doing damage.
And that they're disingenuous, at least some of his former colleagues aren't doing it, right? He says that Fox is propagating claims of the Mueller investigation being a witch hunt, but that actually most don't believe their own attacks on the DOJ and the FBI.
I was really struck by that as well. I reached out to Fox News for comment on this new interview. The network is sticking with what it said a couple months ago, which is that Peters is using his opinions as a weapon to go after Fox. Still, they say they are proud of all the hosts in prime time, like Sean Hannity. I think Peters' larger point is really important. It's something that's happening every single day. It's a daily attack against the Mueller investigation and other attempts to get to the bottom of Russia's attack on America. Every single day, the Hannitys of the world are trying to tear down that probe and prop up Trump. It's an alternative universe of information that the president benefits from and learns from and is informed by. And Peter says it is dangerous for the U.S.
Brian Stelter, thank you for that report.